Well, good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream, and I'm going to do your March the 29th just for today in a meditation. I hope you're having a beautiful morning. Let's go ahead and get into the meditation. It is entitled Our Own True Will. So hopefully you can see that, okay? Our own true will. God's will for us consists of the very things we most value. God's will becomes our own true will for ourselves. That's from the basic text, page 48. It's human nature to want something for nothing, rather. We may be ecstatic when a store cashier gives us back change for a 20, though we only paid with a 10. We tend to think that if no one knows, one small deception won't make any difference. But someone does know. We do. And it does make a difference. What worked for us when we use frequently doesn't work long in recovery. As we progress spiritually by working the 12 steps, we begin to develop new values and standards. We begin to feel uncomfortable when we take advantage of situations that, when we used, would have left us gloating about what we had gotten away with. In the past, we may have victimized others. However, as we draw closer to our higher power, our values change. God's will becomes more important than getting away with something. When our values change, our lives change too. Guided by an inner knowledge given us by our higher power, we want to live out our newfound values. We have internalized our higher power's will for us. In fact, God's will has become our own true will for ourselves. Just for today, by improving my conscious contact with God, my values have changed. Today, I will practice God's will, my own true will. Let's take a moment of silence followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. Our own true will. It says here that it's human nature to want something for nothing. And I take issue with that only from the point of view that I believe it can be human nature to want something for nothing. Because who of us aren't excited when someone gives us something, a gift? They thought enough about us to give us a gift. What did we do to deserve that? To them, being ourselves, being who we are. To them, right? We did do something. But in actuality, we were just practicing love and human kindness. And they thought enough about us to do something very kind for us. Not everyone wants something for nothing, and hopefully you're past that point. God's will for us consists of the very things we most value. God's will becomes our own true will for ourselves. Many of us had been victimized, and we felt certain that someone needed to pay for what had happened to us. We get into recovery. We're not using over that anymore. We're not allowing that to be the reason why we don't have high performance. We no longer are scapegoating through that incident, through our pain. We've surrendered to the disease of addiction and realized that our lives have become unmanageable. But from that moment that we stop using and stay stopped, get a sponsor and start working the steps. Even before we start working the steps, we find that we are awakened. We have a spiritual awakening. We're alert now. We see what's going on now. And maybe we don't always see it perfectly because it can definitely be clouded by our own issues. Our perception sometimes is not clear just because we stop using drugs. But the point is that we begin to change. We begin to want to have a greater understanding of situations. We begin to want to keep our commitments and do the things that we say we will do. We, generally speaking, find that we're good people. And as we stay stopped, right, from using drugs, we find that we're more interested now. On the inside, there's this God box, and we're wondering how to fill that. We're yearning to fill that. We've done it our way, if we're honest, and it didn't work out. And we are willing now to believe, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. There must have been some level of belief of that, even in the first step, even in the stopping and not using. And so now, the concept that there's a power greater than ourselves, a higher power even, because the two don't necessarily have to be the same. We want to know the will because we understand that when we're in the will of God, the flow of love, peace, joy, happiness, self-control, patience, and faith, we learn that once we're in the will of God, it's almost like things begin to happen. We understand that that grace that we receive under the umbrella of our higher power's will for us is protecting us. And that if we step outside of that, we get all wet, don't we? Or we get scorched by the sun. Because there's some places that people actually use that umbrella, right? To protect themselves, from the sun. And so there's so many benefits in staying in the will of God. And once we start to see that it is productive, we find out that's what I wanted all along. I wanted the grace, the peace, the love, the joy, and faith that came from knowing that I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing. This podcast is a part of the call on my life. And it's only a small part, but I can tell you that for me, it's the will of God, and I know it and I crave it. No matter what time I get to do it, I'm always transformed when I do it because I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, my name is Mighty Stream. I hope that you've been able to benefit from that share. I hope that you have a beautiful day on purpose. I intend to be talking to you tomorrow.